Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a really beautifully detailed narrative today.
Mhm.
It reveals this fascinating, totally self-contained universe.
Mhm.
So if you're looking for maybe a shortcut to understanding a really complex system of magic, one that's built entirely on like bravery, observation, and celestial architecture,
Mhm.
well, this is a deep dive for you. We're looking at a world that seems powered by curiosity, centered around this 12-year-old girl, Leela, her very large, maybe a bit skeptical cat, and get this, a map that literally shifts its geography in real time.
Yeah, the source material is this magical adventure focused on Leela Fern and her cat Nimbus, who's actually a cloud cat, which is important. And what's so compelling here, I think, isn't just the quest itself, the excitement. It's the fact that the story gives us this really robust, almost scientific framework for its magic and its cosmology. It lays out rules, tests, consequences, all with this surprise and clarity. It's almost coded, you could say. So this isn't just like the vague fantasy setting. It feels more like an infrastructure we can actually analyze.
Absolutely, and that's our mission today, right? To extract those specific rules, the really unique world-building bits, and the exact mechanics that define this whole adventure. We want to try and decode the system. Like, how do stars send personalized messages? Why is kindness apparently the key to cosmic navigation? And what's the precise relationship between, Earth and these sky realms? We're basically decoding the deep, maybe hidden cosmology of the Midnight Map.
It's kind of the ultimate guide to understanding what it actually means to be the sky chosen in this universe, which seems to be sort of self-correcting.
Hmm.
And to really get the architecture, we have to start right at the beginning, the trigger event. That moment a young, seemingly ordinary girl becomes, well, the cosmic solution.
Okay, so the story kicks off, like a lot of great ones do, with a character who has the most vital trait needed for, well, cosmic intervention, apparently. Observation. Our protagonist is Leela Fern. She's 12, lives in this quiet, maybe sleepy town called Willowmere, and we get her priorities straight away. She loves astronomy. Specifically, the text says, more than homework and nearly as much as chocolate pancakes. So she's definitely a kid who looks up.
And that specific trait, that keen observation, that's what triggers the whole cosmic signal. Most people in Willowmere, they probably just see the usual stars, the normal night sky. But Leela, because she's paying attention, she notices the exception, the unblinking star.
Yeah, and that detail is just, it's the critical piece of evidence, isn't it? It proves this star is something different, maybe an artifact, not just a natural thing. It was hanging there above the hill, and it was distinctively not doing the usual star thing, not twinkling. The source puts it beautifully, kind of unnervingly, too. Still, silent, bright like a frozen candle flame.
Huh?
It felt like it wasn't part of the regular celestial rhythm, more like a deliberate cosmic signal flare, just waiting for the right person to notice.
A signal flare, yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. And when Leela, who's looking through her telescope, actually whispers that it feels like the star is trying to tell her something, well, the cosmos basically says, yep, you got it. The star blinks for the very first time. And instantly, like right then, a glowing scrap of paper just flutters down from the sky, lands right in her hands. That single blink, that's the inciting incident. It's the formal, personalized invitation to this whole adventure.
And that scrap of paper, that's the Midnight Map. It's described as shimmering, silver, glowing faintly blue around the edges. It's clearly not a passive thing. Even the title is presented as a challenge, right?
Right.
Written in these curly, twinkling letters, the Midnight Map, follow only if you dare. It's a test of courage right from the get-go.
And what's really fascinating here, and what starts to define this cosmology, is that the map isn't just giving information. It's like a dynamic living artifact. This feels like the first essential rule of the system we need to grasp. Reality, or at least the path to the sky realm, it's fluid, it's interactive.
And that fluidity is spelled out so vividly. Ordinary maps, they're static, right? Fixed points. But the Midnight Map is alive. The geography itself is constantly moving. We get these amazing visual details like little silver rivers shimmered and float across the paper, or trees rustled in tiny breezes. And the mountains, they apparently shifted, almost like they were breathing like sleepy giants.
So think about that. If the path is constantly shifting, what does that imply about the journey itself? It basically means traditional navigation is, well, impossible. This map isn't showing you fixed coordinates like latitude and longitude. It seems to show the next necessary step right now, in this moment. Its dynamic nature suggests it might be, I don't know, a self-correcting system, almost like a magical AI guiding you, adapting based on where you are and, crucially, as we find out later, based on your virtue.
Yeah, and we see that interactive nature right away. Like when Leela actually touches a mountain on the map, a tiny little bird flies off it.
Mhm.
But if the map is so pliable, isn't that a huge risk, basing a whole cosmic quest on something that seems so, I don't know, fickle?
That's a really good point. Why build a critical pathway on something that's always changing? Maybe because the destination itself, the Cloud Gate Midnight Only, isn't actually a physical place on Earth's static map. It's more like a transition point, right? Only accessible if you strictly follow the map's current, like moment by moment instructions. The system seems to demand constant faith and adaptability, and the immediate instruction really confirms this focus. First step, find the Whispering Oak. Very specific, very immediate.
Okay, we absolutely need to spend a minute on the cat, Nimbus, because he's not just a pet, he's integral to this whole discovery and how the map works. Plus, he provides this perfect comedic kind of skeptical counterpoint to Leela's, impulsive excitement.
Oh, Nimbus is magnificent. The description is great. Huge, fluffy as a thundercloud, silver as moonlight. But yeah, he's way more than just a big cat. He feels like the cosmic anchor in this situation. That silver coloring, it really suggests a connection to the moon, maybe celestial light in general. It marks him as inherently part of this sky realm infrastructure, even while he's on Earth.
And his communication style is just genius. He clearly has this advanced emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
which makes him the perfect litmus test for all the cosmic weirdness that's happening. Like when Leela first spots the strange star, his reaction is a yawn. Signals total disinterest in, well, maybe what he thinks is just mundane sky stuff.
Right. But as soon as the map arrives, his reactions change, become more nuanced. He purrs, flicks his tail, and the source actually translates this for us as, oh no, here we go again.
Hmm.
That strongly implies he's been through something like this before, right? This isn't his first cosmic rodeo, so to speak. His reluctance is actually pretty key. When Leela asks him to come on an adventure at midnight, his classic Murrow apparently meant, I was planning to nap.
I have to say, I deeply relate to Nimbus's assessment there. Midnight adventures definitely interfere with prime napping time. But his function isn't just comic relief, is it? He seems to be the first visible link between the Earth realm and this sky realm. He was sent, we find out later, to guard the Chosen One. So he's acting as a guide, a protector, maybe even a conduit, even if his main goal usually seems to be finding a sunbeam and getting comfortable. He's the reluctant guardian, but totally essential to how the system works.
Okay, so they have this map, which is, literally shifting its reality under their fingers. Leela and Nimbus head off to the edge of Willowmere Forest, and the first real barrier they hit isn't about distance, it's about this transition point, the Whispering Oak. This is where that warning on the map about testing the heart really starts to kick in.
The description of the oak really sets the scene, doesn't it? Establishes this ancient, almost sacred vibe. It loomed like a dark ocean of leaves. It was huge trunk, wider than a car, branches like cathedral ceilings. Why do you think the system needs validation from this, like, ancient rooted force before they can even properly start?
Well, it creates this really important contrast, I think. The map is all dynamic, fluid, immediate, right? But the oak is static, ancient, deeply rooted in the history of the Earth realm. So the Sky Chosen, Leela, has to show she respects both things, the changeable nature of the quest and the deep, sort of abiding power of the old ways on Earth. It's like bridging the two.
And the oak itself speaks. Normally, its whispers are just background noise, unintelligible. But tonight, for Leela, it speaks clearly. I wonder about the voice description, deep as thunder and soft as moss. That duality feels important.
It really does. It feels like the perfect duality of wisdom, doesn't it? Thunder suggests power, command, authority. It validates the mission, confirms she's the one. But moss suggests softness, age, maybe even comfort. It reassures her, perhaps. So its role is twofold. It confirms Layla's identity, Leela Fern, the one with the map, and it gives her that crucial cosmic warning stating point blank, the skies have chosen you. So the selection process gets validated by Earth's oldest living sentinel, basically.
And the warning is really the key operating instruction for the map, isn't it?
Mhm.
Follow the starlight path, but beware, the map is alive. It tests your heart before it shows the truth. This confirms it. Navigation isn't just about following directions blindly, it's about your moral suitability. Are you worthy of the truth?
Exactly. This seems to be the core mechanism of how the map functions. If Leela were, say, selfish or cruel or maybe deceitful trying to get through, the map would probably react. It might show her false information, maybe lead her in circles, or just become gibberish. The map's truth display seems locked behind this kind of moral check. Your character determines the map's accuracy.
And we see immediate magical proof of the oak's power. The guidance mechanism kicks in right away. 1,000 fireflies rise up from the roots, forming this glowing path deeper into the forest. The path only appears after she's acknowledged that heart test, that warning.
And that path naturally leads them straight into the next challenge. This one seems to be a test of wisdom guarded by a classic archetype, the trickster figure. In this case, a fox in the woods. This part seems designed to test her intellect, her ability to think on her feet, maybe think laterally.
Right, they reach this clearing. It's filled with fog. And the map, again, immediately confirms what's coming. It shows this tiny little fox symbol right near their location on the map. So the map is acting like a dynamic, real-time hazard warning system, or maybe an interaction alert system.
Yeah, exactly. And out of the mist comes the fox. Copper red fur, eyes described as green like glass marbles. He's polite, bows low, but he demands they solve a riddle to pass. This feels like confirmation that getting into the Sky Realm system requires not just, being a good person, but also some practical, maybe lateral thinking. Intellectual engagement is part of the test.
Okay, let's really break down this riddle because the answer seems super relevant to the kind of intelligence this world values. The riddle itself sounds simple, maybe a bit deceptive. I have no legs, but I run. I have no bed, but I sleep. I carry life, yet I never keep. What am I?
Okay, this feels like a critical piece of the puzzle about the system's values. Leela, who we know struggles with structured homework like math, she gets this instantly. A river. Now, why a river? What does a river represent? A constant flow, right? Adaptability, carrying life, but without attachment, without holding on to it.
That is so relevant to her quest. She's navigating a dynamic map, one that demands constant change and flow. The river is like the perfect metaphor for the mindset she needs. You have to adapt, keep moving, be a conduit for life or energy without trying to hoard it or control it. This is basically setting up the anti-storm stealer philosophy right here, isn't it?
Precisely. Her ability to see past the literal words and grasp that core concept, necessary change, beneficial flow, that's her reward. The fog lifts instantly, and it reveals the stunning access point. A bridge made entirely of starlight, stretching across a shimmering ravine. The path forward is literally made of light, earned through wisdom.
But the trickster fox isn't quite done. As she crosses, he delivers the second core rule of the map, directly addressing that heart test idea again. Remember, the map shows truth only to those who stay kind, even when lost.
And this is, I think, the definitive statement on the magic system's priorities. It explicitly doesn't value brute strength or maybe even just raw intelligence. It values emotional fortitude, moral grounding. If Leela got lost and then became unkind, maybe blamed Nimbus or yelled at the fox, the map would likely stop working correctly for her. The cosmos in this story prioritizes gentle action and moral clarity. Maybe because the ultimate task, which turns out to be celestial repair, needs an intention focused on restoration, not destruction or frustration.
Okay, so if we tie this all together for this part of the journey,
Yeah.
it seems like the Sky Chosen needs to have curiosity to even notice the star, respect for history and nature, the oak, observational intelligence, solving the riddle, and this deep moral grounding, kindness. These are all very non-academic attributes, aren't they? They're the qualities required to navigate what seems to be a fundamentally moral cosmos.
Right. So once they successfully navigate that starlight bridge, having passed the wisdom and kindness checks, the environment around them changes dramatically. It's a clear signal they're moving beyond the familiar, maybe more fixed Earth realm. They step into this magical meadow, and it's described with this intentional sensory overload almost.
Yeah, the setting feels like a transition zone, defined by this very soft, gentle magic. The grass shimmered like moonbeams. Flowers were humming softly, like with actual musical notes, apparently.
Yeah.
And the air smelled like this really wonderful, welcoming mix of rain and cinnamon. All your senses are being told, okay, you've crossed a threshold. You're somewhere energetically different now.
And it's in this beautiful, almost ethereal setting that they encounter the first major physical task. And it's simultaneously symbolic, but also alarmingly literal. They have to fix the sky. What they see is just astonishing. A piece of the sky lying on the ground. It's described as a torn blanket of blue, feeling cool and silky, almost like jelly, and it has actual stars twinkling inside it on the ground.
Nimbus even sinks halfway through it when he steps on it. That's such a concrete detail. It's tangible proof that the Sky Realm and the Earth Realm are physically connected, maybe by some kind of structural dome or membrane that can actually be damaged. The Sky Realm isn't just some abstract concept, it's depicted as a physical boundary that can tear.
And the map, which is still functioning as their, cosmic job list, immediately updates its instructions. It now reflects the physical labor required. Patch the sky, earn the key. It's literally a maintenance job. Leela, the Sky Chosen, is at this specific moment basically the cosmos's repair technician, a 12-year-old repair tech for the sky.
And they manage it through simple cooperation, which feels significant too. Nimbus uses his strength, maybe his cloud cat leaping ability, and Leela uses her strength, and together they stretch out the sky piece. They toss it upward and it just soars back into place with a soft whoosh. And the stars above actually twinkle gratefully. The system gives them immediate feedback, auditory and visual, confirming the repair was successful and accepted.
And the reward for this act of protection, this restorative action, is immediate and physical. The sky key. A tiny golden key just drops from the heavens, landing right in Leela's palm. So this key isn't just found, it's earned. Earned through proactive restoration, through caring for the celestial environment. It confirms that action is necessary, not just, having good intentions or passing tests.
Okay, so key secured, the final gateway can now appear. The map shimmers again, points them toward the goal. This tall, swirling tower made entirely of clouds that grows until it actually touches the stars. This must be the Cloud Gate.
Yeah, and this description really helps us define the material nature of this sky realm boundary. The gate is made of clouds, but they're not just fluffy and benign. Clouds curl around it like white dragons, and there's lightning flashing inside, but it's notably described as gentle and playful. What does that tell us? Maybe that the sky realm is powerful, definitely energetic, probably made of volatile stuff like storm clouds, but its fundamental nature is benign, protective, not aggressive.
The entrance itself is a gate made of silver mist, and it's guarded by two pretty formidable-looking creatures. They look like winged wolves made of vapor. They feel like the final vetting process, the bouncers at the door of the Celestial Club.
Exactly. And their acceptance of Leela hinges directly on her previous actions, passing those heart and wisdom tests, and especially fixing the sky. They first challenge her, asking who dares approach, but then they immediately acknowledge her success. The sky remembers your kindness. Enter Starheart. That title they give her, Starheart, it just solidifies the whole cosmological requirement, doesn't it? The chosen one has to possess both that celestial connection, the star part, and the moral virtue, the heart part.
Passing through the gate is described as this transition to pure light, a swirling tunnel of light, feeling like walking through a dream. It's the final, complete break from the maybe denser physics of the Earth realm.
And right at the center, maybe upon exiting that tunnel, the Midnight Map fulfills its ultimate purpose. It stops being just a guide. It becomes the infrastructure itself. It unfolds in the air, glows brighter, and transforms from just paper into this shimmering portal. So the map wasn't just a directional tool. It was the literal gateway technology connecting these two distinct dimensions.
And through that blazing portal, Leela gets her first look at the breathtaking sky realm. And we get some critical details here that help define its physics, its reality. There are floating islands, castles built on clouds, and this is fascinating, waterfalls pouring upward.
Yeah, that detail about anti-gravity waterfalls going up, that feels key to understanding the nature of the sky realm. It signals a fundamental reversal of physical laws as we know them on Earth. This realm is likely powered by something different, maybe a concentrated energy source. Could be stellar energy, maybe concentrated belief, something that just overrides standard Newtonian physics. It presents it as a realm of pure energy, light structures, airiness, contrasted really sharply with the fixed, dense matter of Willowmere down on Earth.
Okay, so they step through the portal made from the mount itself and they land. The text actually says, boing on soft, bouncy cloud ground. So yeah, not dense rock. It's this pliable, airy material. They're definitely in a world defined by lightness and energy.
And right away, we get immediate context for Nimbus and also for the whole lineage of the Sky Chosen. They're greeted by the locals, birds with crystal feathers, these amazing whales made of wind, and significantly, many other cloud cats, who are, we learn, Nimbus's family. The fact that there's a whole species of cloud cats up here confirms Nimbus wasn't just a random magical cat. He was likely an envoy or a guardian specifically assigned to the Earthrealm task.
And then they're greeted by the main authority figure, Estrella, the keeper of the cloud realm. She's described as elegant, very regal, hair like the night sky, eyes like the moon. She just embodies cosmic authority and clarity.
And Estrella delivers the core revelation. She confirms Leela's destiny and Nimbus's true identity and mission. Nimbus was, in her words, sent to the Earthrealm to guard the next Sky Chosen. And that chosen person is, indeed, Leela.
Leela's immediate reaction is just incredibly human and relatable, isn't it? And it really highlights the thematic tension in this story between, human metrics of success and cosmic value. She questions her own worth based on everyday earthly standards. But I'm just me. I forget math homework sometimes. It's such a kid thing to say, but it's profound here.
It really is. And Estrella's response is, I think, the thematic centerpiece of the entire narrative. It defines the system's values completely against academic achievement or maybe traditional measures of capability. Estrella says, the brave heart that looks up is never just anything. So the cosmology explicitly rejects the notion that, rote learning or academic skill is what's needed for cosmic maintenance. It values innate curiosity, looking up bravery and kindness above everything else. Those are the qualifications.
But they barely have a second to absorb that pretty profound piece of philosophy before the core conflict arrives, basically reinforcing why Leela, with those specific qualities, was chosen. The skies instantly darken. The thunder, which was playful before, turns angry.
And the threat materializes. The Storm Stealer. He's presented as this pure representation of maybe entropy, chaos. He's dark as smoke, eyes glowing white, has a booming voice. His goal is very clearly defined, and it's fundamentally anti-cosmic flow, anti-river. He wants to steal pieces of the sky to trap their power. He's the one who caused that initial tear Leela fixed, so she's already established as his direct ideological opposite.
That makes perfect sense. If the river riddle taught Leela about flow and non-attachment, the Storm Stealer embodies the exact opposite: stagnation, hoarding, control. His goal is to capture and immobilize celestial power, essentially freeze it, which would lead to the rigid, cold decay of this vibrant sky realm. He wants to stop the flow.
Exactly, and Estrella's warning is simple, but the stakes are ultimate. The sky will fall if he succeeds in tearing more. The entire balance of the cosmos seems to depend on stopping this one entity, this force of chaos and entropy.
The conflict kicks off immediately. But Nimbus instantly proves his Sky Realm heritage right. He leaps into action, batting the forming storm aside with claws shining like silver lightning. He's like the physical embodiment of the realm's protective power, using that storm energy against itself, and importantly, buying Leela the time she needs to act.
Right, and now this is where the magic system really reaches its climax. It utilizes that artifact Leela earned earlier, the key. Estrella starts chanting in a forgotten tongue, weaving light around them, providing the, let's say, magical framework or power conduit. And she gives Leela the final, crucial instruction. Use the key, it can lock his storm.
So the golden key gets elevated again. It was a reward. Now it's a focusing mechanism for cosmic stabilization.
Yeah.
And the midnight map, which is still maybe glowing nearby, or perhaps the portal is still open, provides the ultimate articulated instruction for the Sky Chosen. Speak the heart, seal the dark.
Okay, this tells us a lot about the power structure here. Estrella provides the magical infrastructure, maybe the ancient power source through her chant. The key provides the physical focus point, the tool. But Leela, the Sky Chosen, she provides the actual power source through her heart's articulation. Why articulation, though? Why does she have to speak it? Maybe speaking the intent out loud crystallizes that moral resolve, makes it undeniable, eliminates any ambiguity in the cosmic command she's giving.
Yeah, she has to focus her bravery, her kindness, that heart that looks up, into a directed beam of power. And she shouts the affirmation, the command. By the heart that looks up, by the light that guides the lost, let the sky stay whole forever. It's a declaration of intent based on her core values.
And the resolution is instantaneous, complete. A beam of gold shoots from the key she's holding straight into the heart of the storm construct. The Storm Stealer screams, described almost like the sound of stagnation dissolving, twists into mist and just vanishes. Poof. Gone. The battle was over. Resolved not by violence exactly, but by this focused beam of moral intent channeled through an earned artifact. And then immediate silence and sunlight return. The system is stabilized, rebalanced through this combination of artifact, ancient magic, and a very specific articulated moral declaration.
So the Storm Stealer is gone, the light's back, the sky is whole, the cosmic balance is saved. And Astrea confirms just how significant Leela's achievement was. She says, "You have done what even the stars could not. You saved the balance between earth and sky."
Wow. That's a profound statement, isn't it? What even the stars could not. It implies that the stars themselves, while maybe powerful and ancient, perhaps lack the necessary moral agency, or maybe that specific kind of personal courage, the kind needed to overcome a force like the Storm Stealer. It suggests that maybe only a human heart, one that's been tested by kindness, curiosity, maybe even doubt, can provide that specific frequency of power. And Estrella then confirms this shift in agency, correcting Leela when she gives credit to the map. Estrella says, "The map followed you." which really reinforces that it was Leela's inner suitability, her star heart, that initiated and drove the whole cosmic sequence, not just the map existing passively.
And then she gets the hero's reward, a tangible reminder, the silver map, which has served all these functions, guide, portal, instruction manual. It folds itself up neatly, and it transforms into a pendant, a tiny little globe filled with swirling clouds.
Yeah, that artifact transformation feels like a really crucial, almost technical detail of this magic system. It signifies the end of the map's active duty cycle. It goes from being this dynamic, functional portal technology back into being a static relic, a physical memory token. The map's job is done, the balance is restored for now. But its essence remains, as Estrella says, for when you forget how brave you are. It's a proof of potential.
And Nimbus gets his status update too. He's now allowed to visit both realms, Earth and Sky. So he becomes this permanent ambassador, fully integrating the Cloud Cat presence into both cosmologies. He's the living link now.
And then Leela is returned, back to Willowmere, wakes up in her attic, seemingly back to quiet normality. But there's the proof, the pendant, gleaming softly on her bedside table, and crucially it has those tiny swirling clouds moving inside it. It's the undeniable physical evidence, the validation that the whole incredible journey, the Sky Realm, Astrea, the Storm Stealer is all real.
But the narrative doesn't just wrap up with a simple return to routine, which is interesting. The epilogue immediately sets up this idea of a continuous cycle for the Sky Chosen. It shows the resilience, maybe the ongoing vigilance of the cosmos. That night, Leela looks up. Every star is twinkling happily, signifying balance, right? But then she notices it, the critical detail.
A new star
Yeah.
appears right above the hill, and crucially, it is non-blinking, just like the first one, just watching, waiting.
The implication is crystal clear, isn't it? The cosmos is always watching, always vigilant, always ready to seek out the next Sky Chosen when the balance needs maintenance again. The system is self-healing, but it seems to require these chosen human vessels to enact the healing. And Leela recognizes the pattern now. She muses, well, maybe it's someone else's turn.
And that final image, another glowing scrap of paper, presumably another midnight map, drifting down towards Willowmere just confirms it. The cycle is continuous. It's powered by curiosity, by someone noticing the unusual star, and ultimately by the Braveheart. Leela, who's now a veteran of this cosmic system, has effectively passed the mantle, or at least acknowledged that the system continues beyond her specific adventure. It really is an incredibly organized, logical framework for a magical universe built on these very specific, quite emotionally resonant rules.
It truly is. We've really tried to dissect this whole cosmology, haven't we? From that initial signal, the unblinking star, all the way through the tests, the repair, the confrontation, and now this final permanent pendant and the hint of the cycle starting again.
And that really leads us to, I think, the most fascinating underlying question raised by this whole narrative structure. We saw that the journey required essentially two core forms of intelligence, right? First, she had to solve the riddle of the river, which represented maybe foundational knowledge of flow, adaptability, natural cycles. And second, she had to speak the heart, which represented kindness, empathy, and articulated bravery. And we know Leela explicitly questioned her own worth because she sometimes forgot her math homework, academic knowledge.
Right. So if the Sky Chosen needs this high emotional intelligence, this ability to think in terms of flow and connection, and yet simple academic knowledge like math is explicitly sidelined as irrelevant. What does this narrative ultimately tell us about the definition of intelligence that's actually required to maintain cosmic balance in this universe?
It strongly suggests, doesn't it, that cosmic stability, at least in this world, isn't contingent upon accumulating facts or data, the sort of fixed knowledge, the equations Leela sometimes forgot. Instead, it seems to depend on the innate ability to embody the characteristics of the river, that adaptability, that selfless flow, carrying life and energy forward without trying to trap it or hoard it. Remember, the Storm Stealer wanted to trap power, the total antithesis of the river's free flow. So the truly required intelligence here isn't about memorizing facts. It seems to be about embodying a dynamic moral philosophy in action. The survival of the Sky Realm depends on empathy, observant courage, and kindness. It really makes the case that saving the cosmos in this story is fundamentally a job for the heart, not the textbook.
That is a really profound insight, isn't it? And it definitely leaves you wondering. If the real cosmic test is based on this non-linear thinking, this moral clarity, this heart that looks up, how might our own modern, often hyper-academic approach to problem-solving fare? How would we do if faced with a dynamic, living map that judges our heart rather than our GPA? Something for you to ponder perhaps next time you look up at the stars tonight.